Hey guys, good morning. It is 9:55 a.m. on this Monday, November 17th, 2025. We are 10 days away, believe it or not, from Thanksgiving. It is sunny outside, or at least getting there now. It rained last night, and it's 55 degrees. Yes, here in California, mostly the Central Valley, we are heading into the wintry temperatures, if you will, because starting from here on in, we'll be in the mid to low 60s. Maybe with an occasional rise, I should say, here and there, but it'll mostly be, like I say, the mid to low 60s and then maybe the 50s here and there. But we are getting there. It took a little longer, but we are getting there due to the La Nina, whatever effect you want to call it. But with that said, before we get into the topic here at hand, I'd like to ask you to do me a favor, and that's like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. Also, guys, if you would like, click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere outside of YouTube. You can find me at all your favorite audio and video podcast affiliates, like iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and to an extent, SiriusXM. You can also find me on other video uploading platforms like Rumble.com, VENMO.com, Odyssey.com, and Dailymotion. The first two have identical content, close to identical content to the main YouTube channel here. But some content that's not here on the YouTube channel is in those areas because, you don't want to risk screwing up YouTube's algorithms and all that. So you can find those there. I'm also at DeviantArt at BVW1979. That's DeviantArt.com at BVW1979. And at InkBunny.net at BWRoses. You can also follow me on social media sites like Twitter, aka X.com, Blue Sky, and TikTok. Chibi. You can also find me and support me at Patreon. I have a Patreon. I do have plans for that. Believe me, I know you're wondering, well, what are those plans? Believe me, I'm going to let you know very, very soon. Hopefully before Thanksgiving. Hopefully before Thanksgiving, all around the Thanksgiving holiday. So, yes, I do have a Patreon, though, if you want to help support there. Also, I have a Cash App and a Venmo. If you want to help donate there, it'd be greatly appreciated. And I have a couple of online stores. I have yet to connect those stores. I had one connected previously. The other one I have yet to connect. I'm looking into that real soon. But I do have a couple of stores. The first one being a Fourth Wall store. Link is at the top. I have a couple of items there I think you'll like. Some graphic tees and non-graphic stuff that I have to fix later on. As well as I also have and the link to the Fourth Wall, I should say, is at the top. And my Teespring store link is at the bottom of the description. If you guys want to click on those, check them out. See what you can get yourself, or maybe some loved ones for the holiday season. Christmas season, that is. Also, guys, during this video premiere, the live chat will be open. If you want to come in and chime in and give your thoughts on what I say here, that'd be greatly appreciated. And during the live chat, SuperChats will be open if you want to help donate in that area. That'd be greatly appreciated. And also, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to, I don't know why I'm slipping on this. I've been awake for a while. I'm on my second cup of coffee, big cup of coffee. So I don't know why I'm slipping on this. I guess that's what happens, as you know me, when you go uncut and unscripted for a while, with your videos, you tend to have a little bit of a tying of the tongue, if you know what I mean. But basically, like I was trying to say, you can also chime in with in the comments section, if you will, if you want to do that. That'll be open during the video premiere and afterwards. And then, basically, if you don't get here in time for the video premiere, then you can also donate, if you want to donate, through the Super Thanks as well. So, any one of those options that I mentioned to you, the links you can click on and all that is the way you can help me out and support me in growing the brand and basically helping me through this time of change while I look for another job, to do on the side. Hopefully one will come very, very soon. Pray that I get in. I've been applying at several places like Costco. In fact, the Indeed outlet that's connected to helping you get jobs actually listed the Costco store as a employer that might be looked into, or I might want to look into and everything. So I did apply. Second time I applied in a short time. I went to the website on its own, and now Indeed now has help me out. So to me, that's like a sign of God saying, hey, this might be where you're going to end up. So pray I get in there. Pray I get into the SB coffee shop here in town. Pray that something opens up. And if I have to, when I email my former employers of the past, hopefully they'll understand. They'll give me another opportunity to work. But with that said, as we are now 5 minutes in, let's get on to the topic, shall we? All right, so on to the topic at hand here at 5 minutes 10 seconds. You know, and I'm sure you see the title here, and this is something that I've been noticing a lot of people have been bringing up at various Hell of a Boss, Has Been Hotel, Hellaverse group pages on Facebook and social media. I think maybe some might have talked about it here on YouTube, but I have not noticed yet. But one theory that's going around that a lot of people have really been digging into is the possibility that Emily, the angel Emily, basically like I guess you could say the protege, little sister to Sarah, that Emily and Charlie Morningstar, our main character, our heroine, if you will, the basically the leader of the Has Been Hotel, at least the owner of the Has Been Hotel. A lot of theories have been floating around that when you look at them from a design perspective, as well as from a personality perspective, a lot of people have had this speculation and theory that they could be sisters. Yeah. Well, not full-on sisters, but maybe half-sisters. And in case you don't know what a half-sister is, basically a half-sister is essentially, a half-sister is kind of like, well, we'll put it this way. I have family members, some nieces and nephews, if you will, that are half siblings, but they look at themselves as full-on siblings. Like they ignore the half, the straight-up siblings. Okay, but and that's how they've always been viewed. Well, that's how they've always viewed each other, as full siblings, come from the same mom, no half distinction, no step, no nothing. They are full-on, siblings. So a lot of families do that. But basically, the reality is you can't ignore the half part, because even though you come from the same mom, you come from different fathers, or reverse-wise, you come from different moms, but you have the same father. So that basically either way, vice versa, either way, people cannot hide from the HALF part, that gets added to to the acronym, to the acronym name of who they are or what they are. And when it comes to Emily and Charlie, a lot of people have this theory that both are half sisters. But in this case, they have the same father but different mothers, if you will. The same father but different mothers. Now you might ask, well, what do you mean by same father, different mothers? Well, we know Charlie's father is Lucifer, right? So a lot of people feel and believe it wouldn't be far-fetched, based on the lore and the history and the background and everything we've gotten on these characters in these two seasons, in these first two seasons, if you will, that it wouldn't be far-fetched for Lucifer to not only impregnate Lilith, for her to have Charlie, but they wouldn't put it past him to basically impregnate Eve, if you will, according to this story's continuity. It wouldn't be far-fetched for him to do that to her, and thus Eve would have Emily, or maybe impregnate somebody of a higher standard in heaven, or that's of a higher standard in heaven, to have Emily. But mostly a lot of people are pointing towards Eve from this storyline perspective. So, so basically they wouldn't, put it past in story for Lucifer to be the one, that caused Lilith to give birth to Charlie, and then maybe Eve or someone of a higher standard, maybe Sarah, we don't really know, because Sarah is more like a big sister, mentor kind of thing to Emily. But she could also be looked at as a motherly figure. And some people do look at her like that towards Emily. Some people do look at Sarah as a motherly figure. So who's to say Lucifer didn't, if they go that route, didn't impregnate Sarah, and that's the reason Emily is the way she is. There's a lot of speculation and theories going around as to, why both Emily and Charlie not only look identical, but also somewhat act identical in personality. Like, something is just, it's like something is there. Something is just, not connecting, but it should be connected. Like, it's like, it feels like Vizzy is basically, hiding something that she's going to reveal later on when it comes to these two. And, I wouldn't be surprised if the reveal is that yes, they are half sisters, but she's saving that for either the final episode this Wednesday, if you will, or tomorrow, because depending on how you watch it, time-wise, it comes on at midnight, right? But again, depending on where you live, it'll come on maybe 9, 10, 11 at night. But basically, it all depends on what gets revealed in that final episode. If it's revealed that maybe there is a connection and that Emily and Charlie are half sisters, that definitely changes everything, because now, let's say, Sarah is still viewed as, like, let's say, a mentor big sister. Just imagine what her reaction will be when if that, comes to be. That her protege, her little sister, quote unquote, is actually the half-sister of the Princess of Hell. Can you imagine what her reaction will be like? Oh, wait a minute. That's why you two act similar, or that's why you guys have that same personality or identical, enthusiasm, or whatever the case may be. Can you imagine her reaction? Can you imagine heaven's reaction, as well as hell's? To know, like, wait a minute, Lucifer went out and not only impregnated Lilith, with Charlie, but he did the same with Eve or whoever they decide to put into that position, maybe Sarah, and this is the result. This is the result. It could be mind blowing. It could be, game changing, if you will. I mean, I even used, and I'll say this right now, I even used AI to, take this one image, the one I'm using, where they're standing side by side as Charlie's trying to plead her case and Emily is with her on this. I used that through AI to fuse them together. I used it to fuse them together, and what I got, mostly thanks to Kling, because one thing I'll say about Kling and maybe some other outlets is they do know how to, especially with their upgrades, they do know how to basically give you what you're asking for when it comes to like a fusion or even transformations. They have a better understanding, not fully, but they have a better understanding. They still kind of mess up at times, and you have to be more emphasizing of what you want. But still, getting back on point, I looked at that, and then I also tried it with some other outlets as well, and I kind of got something similar, different, but similar. And to me, it makes a lot of, and to me, when you look at the fusion, my goodness, they, especially the Kling one, it's like, my goodness, they fit well together. It's like they're basically, essentially meant to be, as one. They're meant to be as one because of the way they match up in the fusion. But still, the reason I'm bringing this up when it comes to this is because a lot of people, like I said, look at Emily and look at Charlie and they see identical, enthusiasm, positiveness, personality, design. Like, it's like to them there's something connecting, but we don't know what it is. And like I said earlier, it's like Vizzy is hiding something right in front of our faces that she's not going to reveal until the time is right. But if it gets revealed, let's say at the end of this season, which is tomorrow, depending on when and where you watch it, or Wednesday again, depending when and where you watch it. If it gets revealed that there is a connection, a half sibling connection, and it's because of what happened, again, it's going to be game changing. It's going to be game changing for the characters, for the story, and all that. Because again, imagine what the reaction in heaven will be. Imagine what the reaction in hell will be when they find out that Lucifer not only impregnated, as I said earlier, impregnated Lilith, with Charlie, but did the same with either Eve, maybe Sarah, maybe someone that's yet to be introduced, with Emily. Imagine the reaction in story of both, realms, if you will, as well as imagine the reaction the fan base themselves will have. I mean, the way Cartoon Universe who's one of the few people that, or one of the few outlets that got to see the whole second season early before anybody else, they acted, when they first talked about season 2, after they saw the whole episode but didn't give much away, they basically made it sound like that something was going to happen in the final season which was game-changing, which was going to, make us rethink about the show and the characters, as a whole, or basically get us hyped up for the next season or two of Has Been Hotel to see what's going to happen next. And potentially, if you reveal in that final episode that Emily and Charlie are half-sisters because of Lucifer, that's game-changing. That's game-changing. Now, here's the thing, though. People might say, well, what if it's not Lucifer? Well, what if it's Lilith? What if Lilith is the one that got impregnated, not just with Charlie, but then later on with Emily? Because Emily does feel like she is younger than Charlie, but she has that identical look. What if it's Lilith that got impregnated, by not only Lucifer, but by somebody in heaven? What if it's revealed she got, knocked up, if you will, by Adam, or maybe by, Abel? Imagine if that gets revealed. And that's how basically, you can, I guess you could say, identify why, Emily and Charlie look identical. Or even why Emily is, looks identical in design, personality, and all that, but looks younger as well. I mean, again, either revelation, whether it's by Lucifer or Lilith, either revelation is going to be game-changing. It's going to be huge. When VisiPop decides to come out and say, it comes out in the midst and confirms, yes, these two are, connected to each other by the same mother or the same father, if you will. It'll be huge. It'll be monumentous. It will definitely get people hyped up for what's to come in latter seasons. Because even if it doesn't get revealed here in season 2, and Vizzy's saving it for season 3, to be something that she could, hook us in with and bait us into for a, potential, if not already confirmed, season 4. Again, the reaction that the fan base will have, will be unlike, I think, any reaction that anybody else has had, period. And again, Cartoon Universe, Roundtable, and those that have seen the entire season 2 early due to access and all that, the way Universe played it up, is basically the fact that, as I said, they kind of hinted that the final episode of season 2, which is going to be tomorrow, early Wednesday, is definitely something you gotta, watch. You're definitely going to be talking about for a while. And the title of the episode definitely gives off those vibes, called Curtain Call. It definitely gives off those vibes. But whatever they set up in this finale is definitely going to get you, ready and excited and, speculating and theorizing on what season 3 will be. And whether or not season 3 will, maybe season 4, as the latest, I should say, but mostly season 3, might give us the crossover between both Has Been and Helluva. That's going to be, what makes people, that's going to be one of the things people are going to speculate and theorize on whether or not season 3, based on what happens in the finale, not only will, answer what happens there, kind of, basically give us the answers, basically continue what happened there, but also set us up for this crossover that we're going to get outside of the promotional one that we did at the at that one convention that eventually made its way to YouTube. But that's up to Vizzy. Only Vizzy and her team knows, and only the people that got early access to season 2 know. But to me, though, this revelation, if people are on the money about it, or at least close to it, this revelation, if it's true, again, to me, will be huge. It will be game-changing in everything because of the fact that now people are going to wonder, okay, if it's Lucifer, you got to wonder yourself, okay, when did Lucifer get Eve, or whoever the new character that there is, they introduced, when did he get so-and-so impregnated, with Emily? basically, people are going to theorize and speculate. They're going to want to know what the timeline is. They're going to theorize and speculate that, until season 3 comes around. Because as they like to promote in that crossover promotion, animation takes time. But, people are going to be theorizing and speculating. Oh my gosh, when did this happen? How did that happen? Such and such and such. They're going to wonder that. Or if it's Lilith that got impregnated with both on separate occasions, they're going to want to know, okay, we know Lucifer got Lilith pregnant with Charlie, but when did she get impregnated by, whoever, they reveal, with Emily? When did Adam do it? Or when did Abel do it? People are going to want to know. People are going to want answers. And during the time that they're, animating and bringing season 3 to life, because again, as they like to promote, animation takes time. They had the two of the main characters, Blitzo and Charlie, in that crossover promotion say that, or at least put, push that, if you will. During that time, people are going to wonder and speculate, okay, when did Lilith do this? Obviously we know she had Charlie with Lucifer, but when did she have Emily with Abel or Adam or whoever they're going to choose? Maybe a new character. We don't know. We don't know what the timeline, between, the birth of both characters will be, but again, people will speculate, they will theorize, and they might be right on the money about it. They might be right on the money. I mean, I could tell you honestly, I'm not a fly on the wall or anything, but I know a lot of us would like to be. I can tell you honestly, based on someone that's been in a major fan base before, and someone that's had communications, with the head writer in charge, or at least the person in charge, I could tell you that it gets frustrating to them when fans, when fans speculate and theorize almost, I wouldn't say 24/7, but theorize enough to the point that, fans will come out on message boards or even here on YouTube or various audio podcasts and basically, acknowledge what they feel is going to come, next in the following season. And the creator hears this or gets wind of it, and it frustrates them to the fact that, they get frustrated to where they're like, and the first thing that goes to the mind is, oh man, I can't believe they figured that out. Now I got to change things, or now I got to potentially let the cat out of the bag because they've guessed it, or so and or such and such, or so and so. It's one of those, it's one of those kind of situations to where someone could be right on the money and VisiPop, not only hearing speculations and theories for season 3 and 4 now, like what I did, but also hearing theories and speculations from those that have never gotten access to the full season 2, and guessing exactly what's going to happen next and maybe being right on the money. I guarantee you she is not thrilled. She's not happy with it. Because of the fact that pretty much it's like now she's got to try harder, and and sometimes people might say that's a good thing for them to try harder in making people guess. But now she's got to be more like, okay, maybe I shouldn't let people like Cartoon Universe and the Round Table and Sarcastic Chorus, and anybody like them have early access to the seasons and just have them watch it when everybody else does. She might have to consider doing that, because people. People of certain fan bases, like the Helliverse fan base of Has Been and Hell of a Boss, people of the fan bases, dedicated fan bases, basically, like I said, they're not going to take 24/7 of their life to do it, but they'll basically take enough time to figure out, put the pieces, put the pieces of the puzzle together, kind of gather all the clues and hints and everything, and figure out, maybe close to it, exactly what the next step is going to be. And if what people are speculating about Emily and Charlie is true, if what they're speculating about Emily and Charlie is true, you can only imagine that Vizzy realizes that eventually she's going to have to reveal it, because she can't go back if she's already got it set in motion. She's going to have to reveal that, yeah, this is why, yes, they are half-sisters. Yes, this is how it happened. She's going to have to do that. But until that time comes, either it's in the final episode tomorrow, going into Wednesday, or it's in season 3 and potentially season 4, or confirmed season 4, I guess. Depending on when it's revealed, I guarantee you, she's probably thinking right now that, not only is she going to have to let the cat out of the bag probably sooner than she wants, but she's going to have to drop a lot more hints as to what's to come. Because again, they're still working on season 3. They're still working on season 3 for both Has-Been and Hella. So it's going to take time for us to get the answer. There's no doubt, and she might be doing this process, switching things up to where if she knows people are pretty much figuring things out already, she's going to have to switch things up to where she's going to have to either, reveal it early, maybe at the beginning of season 3, or she's just going to have to put in a lot more clues and hints that there is a connection, that there is something there. I mean, a lot of people noticed basically that Angel Dust, if you will, he's in hell while his sister is in heaven. And people are speculating and wondering, okay, how did she get there and they know how he ended up in hell. There's no doubt. But people are wondering, okay, what did she do to get in heaven if they're siblings and they're part of the same family, maybe with criminal connections, mob connections, if you will. How did she get there and he went there? Why? Basically people are going to wonder, like, why isn't she there? That's like, what did she do? So people are going to wonder and speculate that, and whether or not we get the answer in the final episode or in season 3, again, it's going to be something that's going to get people talking, but probably not more so than the revelation of what people are speculating on. Because again, you go and you look at the design of the characters, you look at their personalities, how they present themselves, and it feels like there's something, that's connecting them that, basically feels like the family. Like basically they are related, but not by the same, but basically by one biological parent and one different. Again, there could be the connection of Lucifer impregnated Lilith with Charlie and somebody else, Sarah or Eve or whoever, with Emily, or Lilith could have gotten pregnant by somebody, Lucifer with Charlie, and then maybe by Adam or Abel with Emily. So people again are going to wonder exactly what happened in all that, how that all came to be. But again, like I said, when you look at their personalities and everything, you look at how they present themselves, how enthusiastic they are. I mean, freaking Emily at the end of, the first episode, pops out of the freaking portal before heaven's cut off from hell, and basically tells Charlie, hey, guess what? Sir Pence's is in heaven. He's with us. Your hotel worked. Your plan worked. Before she had to go back in. Well, she had to go back to heaven. So when you look at her enthusiasm like that, and then how she's happy to see them and all that, hugging them, and she's happy to be with, happy to have them. It's like you see basically a younger, enthusiastic version of Charlie, if you will, in Emily. You see that same enthusiasm, that same positiveness in her that you see in Charlie. So it makes you wonder. It makes you think, is there a connection? So hopefully we'll find out whether or not the speculation and theorizing it has any truth to it in time. Whether, like I said, it's in the final episode tomorrow into Wednesday, or it's next season, or whatever, hopefully we'll get that answer. And again, that's going to get people talking. That's going to get people going like, oh my gosh, that's game changing. That's huge. Not just for the fan base, as a whole, because now it's going to make them wonder, okay, does this mean Charlie could get into heaven? Could that, history be made there? But it's also going to, in storyline, change things up, because now you have the Princess of Hell, acknowledged as the half-sister of Emily. And maybe if Sarah's the mom and not the big sister-like figure, but mostly the mom, it makes her the half-daughter of Sarah. I mean, that could be game-changing. That could be huge. That could be game-changing, if you will, in the story. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what they got planned going forward with, not just the final 2 episodes tomorrow into Wednesday, but going into season 3 and looks like the potentially confirmed season 4. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what they got planned going forward. But it's going to be interesting. And honestly, you can't blame fans for speculating, this possibility. Because again, you look at the way they're designed, you look at how the similar in personality and everything. You look at all of them. You look at the fact that they both share the same kind of traits and all that, and you can't deny that there might be something there. That there might be some kind of connection, and it might be through a half sibling perspective because of either Lucifer impregnating, like I said, Lilith with Charlie, and either Eve or Sarah or somebody new with Emily, or Lilith getting impregnated by Charlie and then impregnated by either someone like Adam or Abel or somebody new with Emily. I mean, again, you can't blame people for looking at that and thinking that and wondering that, and maybe hoping that Vizzy will come out, because Vizzy is about the fans. One thing Vizzy, I think, has made knowledgeable is she listens to the fans. Hopefully, she listens to the fans, and she does communicate with them. She does come out and say, she does come out and acknowledge that, hey, certain things I did, I know you don't agree with, but this is why I did them. At least she's up in front, she's front and center, I should say, with basically taking responsibility and acknowledging why she did certain things. But she is very fan oriented. I could tell that. I could see that. And by being very fan oriented, I can say this: that she obviously sees and hears and pays attention to what fans are saying and speculating. And either she, like I said, she's probably getting frustrated by it, in a positive way. That I should have said that earlier, but in a positive way of, I wish they wouldn't have figured that out so easily. I guess I got to make it a lot harder, for them to guess. You can't tell me that in a positive, maybe cheerful way she gets frustrated, because I'm sure she does. And I think that's also why she comes out and, does those videos, goes online and says this and that. It's mainly because she understands that, hey, fans are smart. That she used to be a fan herself and still technically is. And, because she is still a fan technically, she can understand where fans are coming from, when they come close to guessing exactly what could be next on the table for these characters in the near future. So it will be interesting. It will be interesting and intriguing to see what comes next in the final 2 episodes, as well as what comes into Season 3 and what looks like to be Season 4. But to me, I can't disagree with when you look at both characters. I can't disagree that there is something there that feels like it feels like they are half siblings, at least. And either it's because of Lucifer or, doing what he did with Lilith and somebody else, like Sarah, Eve, or whoever, or Lilith doing it with Lucifer and either Adam, Abel, or somebody else. So I can't argue with the possibility that there is something there, but we'll have to wait and see if Vizzy runs with it. And I'm sure if she realizes people see that, she'll probably run with it if she hasn't already, and reveal the truth either by, like I said, tomorrow night into Wednesday, or next season and potentially Season 4. So we'll see what she has planned. We'll see what her direction is going to be. But I know, honestly, she hears this. She hears what people say when it comes to these kind of speculations and theories, and she thinks about it herself, and she either takes those speculations and theories and at least puts some kind of confirmation on it in the show, or she full out reveals that, hey, you're right. This is fact. This is truth. So we'll see what she's got planned when it comes to Emily and Charlie, and whether or not there is truth of them being half siblings or half sisters, if you will. But like I said, it's going to be interesting to see going forward. But let me know what your thoughts are, if you haven't already, in the live chat, about what you feel could be truth here. Do you think they are half siblings based on everything I've mentioned? Them having the same personality or similar personality and traits, and and all that, as well as the same design. Let me know what your thoughts are. When do you think Emily got conceived? Basically, do you think it was conceived by Lucifer with Eve or Sarah or somebody new, or do you think it was Lilith that got conceived with Emily? After she left hell to be in heaven. Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. If you haven't already in the live chat, let me know what your thoughts are. And until next time, guys, do me a favor, like I said at the beginning, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. Also, click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere outside of YouTube and to support me outside of YouTube as well. But guys, give me your thoughts. This is an interesting topic, to speculate, theorize on, and I'd love to hear your response and everything. And until next time, I am out.